So Jujutsu Infinite has been out for around, I'm pretty sure, a month to 3 weeks now, and I feel like it's time to start the complaining brigade. Brigade. Now, at the start of this video, I do want to say I'm going to be talking about Idle Transfiguration's domain expansion. I'm not sure if the video is going to be titled something related to domain expansion or the curse technique, but in general, I want to talk about Idle Transfiguration. Now, I also want to say this at the start. If you know any tips, any tricks, any special techniques that work really well with Idle Transfiguration, please feel free to comment it down below. I actually read the comments and I'm really interested to see how people, if they can find a way to make this technique actually work good, because I've been using this technique for, probably around a year now. It might be the only technique that I do know how to use. I was a tester for the game, so I've been using Idle Transfiguration back when it was good, and even up to the state that it's currently in right now. Now, Idle Transfiguration is a special grade curse technique inside this game, and once you finally hit like the upper echelons of becoming a special grade technique inside the game, I feel like there's a certain standard that the technique has to kind of have. I feel like the perfect technique to like rate special grades initially would probably be something like Curse Queen or maybe even Gambler Fever. When you think about those two curse techniques, both of them are very good. They have solid options to deal damage, they have nice combos, and they kind of, I don't want to call it a gimmick, but I feel like each curse technique or each special grade does have its own like cool little gimmick slash special trait. Like for Star Rage, I would call it its raw damage. For Limitless, I would say the utility. Same thing with Shrine, to be honest. And then for Gambler Fever, it would be the fact that you can become immortal. And then for Curse Queen, honestly, I don't even know what to call that. I'll probably just say that's more related to like copying or maybe the domain expansion, allowing you to use everything. And then we get to Idle Transfiguration, and Idle Transfiguration's gimmick is what I'm classifying it as, would be performing these little soul touch deformed orbs on the person that you hit. And you can see it right here. Now, to actually pop one of these orbs, you're gonna have to use soul touch, and this just basically amplifies the damage. So that NPC right there had 2 orbs on them, and that soul touch did 409 damage. And then right here, if I was to use on an NPC without any orbs on them, you would see that it would do 136. So from 409 with 2 to 136 with 0. That's honestly a pretty good or significant leap in damage. Just for landing one skill on Idle Transfiguration, that's a lot of damage that you're able to get off on the person for just landing your skill. And that's the mindset I had until I'm like running this technique fully. Now, I am going to be saying this, I'm rating this technique or basing all of my claims off of using the whole entire kit for Idle Transfiguration. I have clips of me finding people inside the background, and even probably me trying to farm bosses with this curse technique, just so you can like see the footage of me actually using this curse technique. And it honestly just feels like very mid and underwhelming. So I guess I'll rate it off for PvP first, because PvE will honestly be the easiest. But this curse technique for PvP, it just honestly falls completely short. I even tried looking up on YouTube to see if there is any YouTubers or like any niche videos from people who don't really have a lot of subscribers and views uploading some crazy gimmick or crazy combo with this curse technique, but there really isn't, and I can see why. When you use this curse technique, you really only have one combo extender. Now, I feel like you're supposed to have 2 due to how one of the skills work, one of them being Flesh Drill. It's like you only have 1, and that's going to be Deformed Fist. So Deformed Fist, it actually stuns the opponent and it keeps them right there in front of you for you to like M1 them or use any other skill you want after that. And then the other skill that I feel like was meant to be a combo extender works more as a combo starter, and this is going to be Flesh Drill. Now, this skill doesn't have hyper armor. I'm pretty sure none of the skills on Idle Transfiguration have hyper armor. So if you were to use Flesh Drill, you can actually be hit inside the startup animation for it and it will be cancelled. And you can even be hit inside the animation for it as well and it'll be cancelled. Along with that, when you're actually using Flesh Drill, the startup for it just makes it pretty clear that this skill is not a combo extender, meaning that your only combo extender for Idle Transfiguration is going to be Deformed Fist. That's just one of the complaints. I promise that there's going to be a lot more. I'm not just going to be making a video trying to complain about one combo extender, but I just want to note that almost every single skill for Idle Transfiguration, besides one of them being Blade Rush, applies 1 soul stack, is what I'm going to be calling it, on the actual person that you're fighting. Now, this is honestly a very good way to try and balance out the curse technique, because if you allow the person to get a lot of stacks, it's just going to be going up to the point where you'll essentially be one-shotting whoever you hit with soul touch. And 1 stack per skill, I honestly feel like it's pretty fine, until you come here and you realize that soul touch actually can be blocked. But right here, I'm going to press soul touch and then I'm going to try and immediately use a skill right after that. So after I guard break the person with my skill, watch what happens to me. I am also put in end lag. So if you guard break the person with the main skill that you're going to be using to actually do your damage for this curse technique, you are going to be put in end lag for guard breaking them. While they're also going to be in end lag for trying to block the skill, but you can't burst the orbs that you actually got onto the person. Once you have a stack on the person, even if you have a stack on the person that's blocking, when you use soul touch on them and you guard break them, it's not going to burst it, and I'll show you right here. So I have 2 stacks on the person and I'm going to use soul touch. As you can see, I'm still putting the end lag for it, and the orbs just essentially stay on the person. So then it gets to a point of how are you supposed to actually deal damage with this curse technique? The only skill inside your kit that's going to be doing damage naturally is going to be Deformed Fist. That is literally the only skill. Flesh Drill, it does like 100 damage, which is essentially an M1 inside this game, and it's not even a combo extender, it's more like a combo starter. So then you would think that to burst these skills, you would kind of need like a guaranteed hit, and you would probably think to yourself, okay, maybe I just have to use the auto transfiguration domain. Now, what I'm about to show you is honestly going to be the main thing that I want to relate towards complaining about this curse technique, because I got the domain inside the game myself. I made a mistake of doing that, and I just want to show it off to more people here so that hopefully it could get buffed / reworked. So here I am inside the auto transfiguration domain. Now, how this domain is supposed to work is if you use soul touch inside of it, it will guaranteed hit the person. It's like your short hit effect. So I'm going to use soul touch on this blocking dummy, and nothing happens. Inside of your domain expansion, where you have a guaranteed short hit effect, your short hit effect can be blocked. It does nothing but give you end lag. If they are holding F inside your domain expansion for auto transfiguration, you will be punished for using your skill. And I'm gonna show you again. Here you go. I'm trying to move, and I wasn't even able to move until the animation was done. Still like jittering behind. Now, it probably doesn't look like I have end lag there, but I'll have PvP clips of me using my domain expansion and spamming soul touch and then getting instantly blitz rushed right after doing that. What I'm trying to like point out with this curse technique is that it doesn't work. It feels like it's kind of pointless. You would land these soul stacks and then you would assume that, oh, since your M1s also apply inside your domain expansion, even when you chant it, they can still just block it. All you are landing these soul stacks for is really just to make the person look dumb and ugly. The person or anybody that you're fighting can literally hold F to your short hit effect inside this domain expansion. There is no other domain expansion where you can just hold F like, well, there is one, and I'm actually going to show you that one too briefly. But I know that the game was definitely not designed to allow you to be able to like just hold F to a short hit. Now, I feel like there will be some people trying to say that, oh, this is how you balance it, because if the person was able to just M1 you and then burst these orbs out any sort of defense, it will be absolutely broken. When you pop a domain expansion inside this game, you're going to be using it as a fight closer, or you're also going to just be using it as your ultimate technique. Imagine I gave you a skill that's going to make it so you can guaranteed land a hit, and then when you use that skill, you don't guaranteed land a hit. It's literally like using unlimited void and the person does not get stunned from unlimited void. It's like using Sukuna's domain and then they don't get any slashes hitting on them from Sukuna's domain because they're just blocking or they're moving in a certain fashion. The domain and how this overall technique is just designed doesn't work. And I honestly feel like that because this curse technique back then, when I was a tester, this was honestly one of the best curse techniques ever. But it received a nerf, and since that nerf, people have just been bashing it. I even looked inside the Discord server and tried to filter messages to see if I was just tripping personally and I sucked at the game when trying to use this curse technique. But even people who aren't going to be rating this curse technique like just as the technique itself will say that the technique itself is mid. They would probably be rating this curse technique using it with like other curse techniques like Limitless, Shrine. The only thing I see people use from Idle Transfiguration is just going to be Deformed Fist because it does a lot of damage and it's a combo extender. People literally run one skill from this curse technique, and that is honestly kind of sad because you'd be shocked, but this curse technique is a special grade. So to be completely honest with you, I really do feel like this curse technique probably just needs a rework or maybe even a buff. I don't know. I've seen somebody make a pretty good suggestion where they actually like detailed examples of what a good soul manipulation rework would actually look like. I even feel like the game Jujutsu Shenanigans has a very good and strong soul manipulation that's actually very cool and uses some of Mahito's more creative abilities. this curse technique was one of the first ones made, so I don't blame them for like not having the most updated, coolest things for this curse technique. But at the same time, it's a special grade and people do roll it. Some people even spend money to get special grades inside this game. So imagine you roll something like this and it doesn't even compare to the other special grades in the game. And to just briefly touch it for PvE, Soul Touch doesn't work on bosses. Soul Touch literally does not work on bosses. And if it does work on bosses, it's like 50-50. Every time I've used it on the boss, it literally does no damage. Even if you have the soul stacking orbs on them, it does no damage. Soul Touch literally just does not work for bosses. So this curse technique is absolutely useless in PvE, and it sucks to kind of being alright for PvP. And the only reason I say alright is because some people don't know that you can actually hold F to Soul Touch inside Domain Expansion. And before I actually forget, I do also want to showcase Hydrokinesis as a Domain Expansion, because this Domain Expansion works the same as Soul Touch. So right here, you're going to see this blocking dummy, and I'm going to use Death Swarm, the guaranteed hit effect inside this Domain Expansion. And as you can see, the Death Swarm only goes for NPCs that are not blocking, meaning you can also block the guaranteed short hit effect for Death Swarm, or my bad, you can also block the guaranteed short hit effect inside Domain Expansion for Hydrokinesis as well, meaning these domains are useless. Now Hydrokinesis has it worse because actually once you use this curse technique, it goes on cooldown for like 35 seconds, meaning you can probably only use this, you can only use this skill around 3 times inside the Domain Expansion, 2 times if you're being realistic. And if they block it those 2 times, your domain is completely useless. It's completely useless. Like, short hits inside this game, I feel like they designed them so that they're meant to be blocked, but then they didn't think about when people actually use them inside Domain Expansion. And look, it's holding F. It's going towards the one attack dummy that I purposely brought here to show that you can hold F to it and that the skill is not just bugged. The same thing will work with Auto Transfiguration, but I just decided to show it off for Death Swarm because these are really the only 2 Domain Expansions where you have a skill that's guaranteed like a short hit effect. Every other short hit effect for Domain Expansion is either just going to be Infinite Void, which just stuns you initially, so that's a short hit, and then you have Shrine short hit being literally like all the slashes coming down. Every other Domain Expansion does not have a skill where it's like you have to use it to use your short hit. So I kind of did just want to spread light on this because these 2 curse techniques, or these 2 Domain Expansions, are absolutely terrible. This video is honestly like a recommendation or maybe like a highlight for people who are interested inside these 2 Domain Expansions, like I was, to not get them. They do not work. If you get them and you try to play PvP, Auto Transfiguration and Hydrokinesis are terrible for that. And then if you get them for PvE, Hydrokinesis will honestly be pretty good for PvE, so if you want to get it for grinding, I honestly wouldn't mind that, but there is going to be better because a 35-second cooldown is kind of absurd. And then Auto Transfiguration for PvE doesn't work. It literally doesn't work. So hopefully this video does actually perform well because I feel like this is pretty important. It's literally 2 things that don't even function the right way. So please feel free to like the video, comment your thoughts on these. I haven't seen much people talk about these Domain Expansions because people just naturally avoid them because they're cooler, and I don't blame them. They're honestly is cooler, like Sukuna. But thank you for watching this video. If it did like help spread light to this, or if you actually care about it, feel free to like it. Once again, I appreciate you watching and have a nice day.